Welcome to the Lancaster City Council meeting. City Clerk?
City Council Member, Agency Director, Authority Member Doris.
Present.
Molly.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Christ.
Present.
Mayor, Chairman Paris.
Present.
We have a quorum.
The invocation tonight is Henry Hearns. Is he here?
Yes.
There you are. You were hidden behind the lectern. How are you?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, and to all of the staff and everyone else that is here, I am honored to be here tonight. And one of the things that I love to do is to pray. I'd like to read 2 or 3 verses of a scripture that was written by Jesus' brother. And it goes like this: if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For if he waveth, he is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Let's pray. Our Father, we come to you tonight standing in what represents the total leadership of the city of Lancaster. And we thank you that you have given us the opportunity to form and to act reasonably, but in favor of goodness and kindness to all people, regardless of their culture and their walk of life. We thank you for our mayor and our city council, each of them who have made it their business to love you, and we give you praise for that. We thank you for this city, which has stood the test when people have said we could not pray in this room in session. But God, we thank you that you've allowed that to happen and be consistent with the law. Thank you now. Bless these brethren and bless these sisters as they lead this city another step higher every year. God, we give you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you.
Right hand over your heart and please join me for pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, anything to be removed from the consent calendar?
I think we're going to pull CC 13.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move we approve the consent calendar as currently comprised, pulling CC 13.
I'll second that motion.
I think we had a comment on another consent calendar item.
We do.
Oh, okay.
It's
It was 13?
CC 13.
Okay, thanks.
Charlize, can you shut her mic off?
She went to a really good school, too.
I know.
Okay, let's vote. And it passes unanimously. Who's presenting on 13?
So where have you been? We haven't seen you in a while.
I've been at City Hall working.
I mean, I see you on Facebook, but, you know.
I'm around. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening. For your consideration and approval are various agreements for the Power Choice Residential Solar and Battery Program, a partnership between Lancaster, Tesla, and Participate Energy. Through the Power Choice program, new home developers will be able to meet their Title 24 requirements, and all Lancaster homeowners will have a zero upfront cost option to install solar and batteries for energy savings, backup power, and participation in grid services. Homeowners and developers will order systems from Tesla, which will in turn design, permit, and install solar and batteries on new residential development and on existing homes. Participate Energy will finance the program and contract with Tesla to provide ongoing maintenance and operations for those systems. The city will assist with marketing the program to developers and existing residents. The city will also enter into a power purchase agreement with Participate Energy to purchase the energy that's created from the behind-the-meter solar and battery systems, while in parallel selling energy and battery services to the homeowners as part of the city's CCA retail offer. Residents will pay Lancaster Energy 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% annual escalator for solar and $115 per month for each Powerwall installed in their home. Customers can acquire additional Powerwalls at a cost of $75 per month. The city will earn revenues in two forms for its program and marketing support. First is a 40-cent per watt upfront fee for each system deployed through the program. This equates to approximately $3 million for every 1,000 homes that has a solar and battery system installed. And this is included with a standard 7,600-watt solar system and one Powerwall configuration. The city will also receive a program support service fee equal to 2 cents per kilowatt hour generated and $15 per month for every battery that's deployed through the program. This equates to an estimated $25 million over the life of the program. Stephen Pollack from Tesla, Ethan Friedman from Participate Energy, and I would be happy to answer any questions you have about the Power Choice program.
Any questions?
Yeah, what does it make for the average person, that average household?
Yeah, so the average house would basically be paying, and this is based on our existing rate. Yeah. We have an existing, basically a rate comparison that we put out every year, or I'm sorry, every couple of months. And for a customer that participates in this program, they would be paying $224 to be a part of this program, to have battery and solar on their house installed. A regular customer who uses the same amount of kilowatt hours would be paying $220. So basically for a little less than $4, you'd be getting solar battery, you'd be able to participate in grid services, you would be able to do some arbitrage, right? So whenever the energy prices are up, you're able to deploy your battery. And if there's ever an emergency, you're able to use your battery as backup service. So they're paying a little tiny bit more, but they're getting a lot more for their services.
So this is behind the meter.
It is behind the meter, correct?
So if the grid goes down, you don't go down.
Correct.
I have a question.
Sure.
And maybe it's due to my ignorance, and I'm not as knowledgeable as the mayor and vice mayor on this, but I turned 50 this year, so I'm old enough to remember when they went from paper to plastic to save the trees. Then we had too much plastic, and now they're going back to paper. So my question is, are we doing the same thing with these batteries? What happens to all of these batteries when we switch over and they start dying on us? What is the process for that, to get rid of these batteries or reuse them?
So as part of the PPA, well, there's two answers. At the end of the term of the PPA, Participate Energy will reclaim the batteries, and Tesla will help recycle them, or Tesla will recycle them.
So they are recyclable.
Explain the PPA.
So the PPA is just the retail offering from the CCA. So that currently set at a 25-year term. So the batteries and solar will be maintained for 25 years. At the end of that period, Tesla will recycle them and make new batteries.
The great thing about
I'm just, it's curious to me that we're now going back to paper when I remember we had the Save the Tree program when I was coming up. So I'm just curious about the batteries. Is it the same situation?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention about the program too, that I think is good to know, is that, right now, if a Lancaster resident wanted to get solar on their rooftop, they have to go through, they either have to purchase that system outright, they have to put down a deposit, they have to go through a credit verification. This program basically opens up solar to everyone in our community. Because now what you're doing is instead of paying, this PPA rate with a third-party company, you're paying Lancaster Energy just like you would pay for your regular, CCA retail rate. And it's 14.5 cents, which is actually cheaper than what you would pay with a traditional solar PPA, and you get a battery, which traditionally you wouldn't get. You would just get a solar, solar on your household.
So will you do this for anyone?
Anybody, no FICO, no credit underwriting, everyone gets the benefit of participating in the CCA program.
So if I ask you to do it for AVTA and we do all the batteries, you'll give us the same price?
I'm not familiar with ABTA, but I'm assuming the answer is yes.
We can look into it, sir. Their answer is, we'll get back to you, Vice Mayor. How's that?
So I have a question. You said the average home was roughly 220 a month, and this is going to be 224 if you're using that same model.
Correct.
So then somebody that is over the average, then I suspect there would be savings and it would go the other way, correct?
That's correct. So when someone comes in to place an order on the Tesla website, which has integrated the CCA offer, it will actually default to a system size, and then Tesla will work with the homeowner to properly size the system for the home. So we'll understand what the utility bill is and what the optimum size is for that homeowner. Typically, the more energy somebody uses, the more savings we can provide. Typically.
So it really flipped that model the example that you just gave.
That's right.
One would think, anyway.
There are additional grid services programs that can bring additional savings to potential customers. And also, when you take the energy that's produced during the day and you store it in the battery and use it at night, you're actually saving the spread between the low-cost energy and the high-cost energy. So there's additional ways to actually make this more financially attractive for your residents.
I think one other thing I wanted to point out is the rate predictability. So we know that, the other benefit to our residents is the rate predictability, right? So we're starting off with the 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour with a 1.9% escalator. Most the utilities go, and there's studies about this, but they go up 5 to 6% each year. So as a resident, now you know what you're going to pay over the next couple of years for your energy. And that's a big deal for our community. We want to save our residents as much money as we can. So I think that's a really important thing to highlight as well.
When are you guys planning to start this? When are you guys planning to start if everything goes on order?
That's a great question. We're working on all the program logistics. There's some billing things that we have to work out with Calpine, who's our billing, the party that we use to help with our billing. And there's some other things that we're working out. But we hope to start in the near future, probably by the end of the year, right?
As soon as possible.
End of the year
Yep.
2023
Yes.
or 2022?
This year.
This year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
AVTA is going to love this.
So if my electric bill is $800 a month, right? And I think it's more than that, actually. Are you telling me I only have to pay $250 a month now?
So if your bill's $800 a month, that would be larger than the average size. So we would work with you to get your utility bill, and we would create a bigger solar size and potentially bigger battery size to see how much we could bring your bill down.
So what if I already have the solar?
We actually talked about, we're initially launching with Powerwall, which is the battery, and solar, but we actually talked about expanding as quickly as we can into what we call a Powerwall retrofit, which is bringing the battery, installing it on existing solar. And with the new IRA, there's now a tax credit for that battery and actually doing the battery on old solar.
IRA?
The
Inflation Recovery Act.
Reduction Act, which
Reduction.
was the big national tax bracket.
I should have
last
known
year.
that.
The latest giveaway program. Okay, but you didn't answer my question. Am I going to pay less money or more money?
Our expectation is that you would pay less money than your current utility bill, but without underwriting the specifics of your home, which is part of the process. And it will be the same process irrespective of the credit quality of whether it's your home or anyone else within the city of Lancaster can access. They'll have the same customer experience as if they were buying a Tesla system in cash. And so you're going through that same Tesla sizing program, and you're using online configurator as well as historic load information to ensure that we're sizing this appropriately. We don't want to oversize the system. That's not going to benefit anyone. And that should arrive at a lower bill than what you're paying today, as well as backup resiliency. So if there is a blackout, a rolling blackout, if there's anything that interrupts the power supply, now you'll be able to run the house or partially run the house to ensure that you can keep AC, the refrigerator, and prevent loss and spoilage, stuff like that.
So do you change the wiring so that if that occurs, the refrigerator keeps operating?
That's right.
That's correct.
The underlying battery has an island mode, which allows for solar energy to be produced, put into the battery, and then to power the house without ever going out into the grid.
What I'm asking you is, does that require you to rewire the house in some fashion? So that
Only insofar as that we have the initial installation of the battery, so it's integrated into that battery control.
Okay, but that battery is not going to power the whole house.
So what we do when we install the battery is we install it in a location that will back up the whole house. So you will have power to every appliance that you have. We can serve just specific loads, but we actually prefer to back up the whole house. And then we would.
And how long will it power out the entire average house?
So our batteries are modular. So you would tell us what your goal is. If you told us you wanted the batteries to last for a full day, we would size that many batteries to do that. So we can last pretty much as long as you want to.
And the pricing per month is reflective of a reduced cost for each additional battery after the first one.
Okay, and these are sort of like no-doc loans, is that what we're hearing?
I think it's important to understand that as the owner-operator of these assets, we are going to be a long-term partner both with the city and with these homeowners. So it's not like a no-dollar loan. We're not really financing. We're actively operating and owning these assets, and there is federal benefits which we intend to monetize. So there's a component of this that requires us to be equity. And so, it's important to understand that we're not really fundamentally a lending arm. We use debt as part of the capital stack to pay for these systems, but fundamentally we're bringing our equity to the table here. And we have a long-standing relationship with Tesla. We've completed over $500 million of projects with Tesla in the last 5 years.
So, all that being said, do you lien the house?
We are not planning to lien the house. There are various steps we can take if people default, but initially it will simply be a license contract.
What would they default on?
If a resident did not pay their CCA bill, the CCA, not Tesla or the fund, would have the right to take action to collect the money in all the ways that the CCA could normally do that with their retail customers.
Okay, but when I go to sell my house,
Yep.
do I have to get a release from you?
What you would do is the house would move over, the contract, which allows the system to stay there, would transfer to the new owner.
And what if they don't want to do that?
They can buy the system.
Yeah.
And what? I'm sorry.
They can buy the system at that time. So there would be essentially an appraised fair market value of the system. It's not us determining it. It would be pursuant to an appraiser, and they can step in and buy the asset at that time. So if you're buying a home and you want to either not be a participant of the CalChoice program or this Lancaster Energy program in general, and you just want to buy your power directly from SEE, or if they don't want to enter into this program, they want to own the underlying equipment, they're able to do so.
I'm assuming you're going to prepare some graphics and some pretty pictures so that I could understand this?
We are.
Because it's really quite confusing the way it is now.
Yeah, we'll prepare marketing material. Right now, we're just going through the, kind of the startup process for the program, but we will create marketing materials. We'll do outreach. We'll have a website where people can get additional information. There's obviously city staff that will be trained to answer any of these questions for our residents.
Is this time sensitive?
Yes.
For when?
No, I'm
I
good
think
with
that the earlier we engage, and we're in the, in a business activity, right? So there's a general sort of commercial pressure. So the earlier we can engage on this, the better. I think certainly we have resources within Tesla, within our organization, within the city that have been dedicated towards spinning this up.
So the mayor asked a great question, and I'm going to go back to that level playing field of the example that you gave, because obviously that would be a starting point if you try to engage somebody. He asked the question about how long does the battery would take care of the house. Was that based on 24 hours, or how long was that based on?
So each battery, and this gets a little bit technical, but each battery is 13.5 kilowatt hours, which means if the amount of energy you're consuming at your home is just 1 kilowatt to run your fridge and your TV and whatever you're running, then the battery would last for 13.5 hours. So if you wanted 24 hours of battery, then we would do 2 power walls in that case.
Okay, so then back up. Given that starting point on the sales pitch, you're saying that the modeling that you did for $224, that was, are you saying now that's only for the average home? Because you had to do a modeling to come up with that dollar figure.
Right. Yep.
So how many hours would that battery be good for?
So we did a sample home.
Okay,
Everybody is different, right? So even
Sure.
if your bill is $200
right, it could be you're using it differently.
at different times of day,
Got it.
different, everything like that. So if, in this case, if this was a 1 power wall system, and then you would have to know exactly what the load is of that home, and let's say it was 1 kilowatt, then
Okay.
you're at that 13.5 hours.
Okay, and that would be a discussion, obviously, if you
That's right.
met with somebody, because, I could see the mayor's point of view.
Absolutely. We customize this for your home to provide you the best deal we can.
Yeah, okay.
My frustration is this is really a cool thing. I mean,
We agree.
it's revolutionary in many respects, and it should be treated that way. We should have graphics in front of us.
Okay.
It should be clear as a bell to everybody that's watching this. Now, I understand we took it off consent calendar. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is a huge thing, and I don't like the way we rolled it out.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Absolutely.
All right. But it is a huge thing. I have some questions, though. If I'm using the battery, then I'm not having to sell back to Southern California Edison because they lowered what they pay me, right? I didn't have a lot of bargaining power there. One day they're paying me this much, now they're paying me this much, and my electric bill is back to where it was, is how it seems to me is what occurred. At least my wife is no longer telling me that I finally made a good business decision when I put up the solar panels, which irritates me. So, but with the battery, I don't have to deal with those fools. Is that right?
So if there's ever excess production, that extra energy will go into the battery. Yes. The one time that it might potentially be exported back to the grid is when you filled the battery. So if you have filled the battery and you're still producing more solar than you're using, then you will. But the idea is that you size the battery to really keep that as small as possible.
So I should be able to power the house this way?
Absolutely.
Without pulling much, if anything, from the grid?
That's right.
And,
They didn't hate us before. They don't hate us now.
And I think that one of the key core considerations here is that for Lancaster Energy, every time somebody puts solar on their house, that represents less load that flows through the program. Here, there's an opportunity for Lancaster Energy to capture the load that's created behind the meter and funnel that through their program. And so fundamentally, this creates an opportunity for the city to continue to provide services and to earn money on load that otherwise would have been absent from the whole program. And we can do so on an equitable basis for everyone under the same terms with the same level of experience simply because the city is fundamentally the counterparty. And so by taking that onus off of individuals and putting it on the city, it's a great way for the city to continue to support its own community members.
Okay, one last question from me. If you have, say your bill is 200, okay, or 220 from Edison, you're saying you're going to do it for 224. Now, am I going to get an additional bill from Edison for the line use?
So the 220 versus 224 includes all the bills you're going to get. So it's really supposed to be an apples to apples comparison. Your Edison bill will go down, but this extra charge for the battery and solar will be there. So it's really 224 versus 200, and that is so close that it's within the margin of error, right? It'll be roughly that
So my line use cost
is
will
included.
still be there.
Still be there,
Yeah.
but you're
And-
borrowing very little or taking down very little energy through the grid because you're self-sourcing this through the battery and then the solar feeding
And
into
if
the
I
battery.
added an extra battery, is that an extra cost?
You have the choice of doing it. It's the first one is the most expensive. You can imagine it's the hardest one to install, takes the most work. The additional power walls are at a lower cost.
What does that cost?
$75.
Yeah.
For an
One,
extra battery?
yeah,
How much?
$75 per month.
So if I had 2 batteries, could I go off the grid?
So the way we look at it is the grid becomes, so you have your solar and your battery is your backup. The grid becomes your backup to your backup. So
I get that, but they charge me to be attached to the grid, and I want to get rid of that charge.
It works better if we're in parallel, right? So like while aspirationally, we would like to get to the place where everybody could just, cut the cord, fundamentally, Lancaster Energy is the partner here, and we would want to work through the SCE system, through the Lancaster Energy system. So while I recognize that that is, a goal, it's not consistent with what we're trying to do. In the end, if we can supply 90, 95, or 100% of the underlying load, then we've been successful in sizing that battery appropriately. We don't want to export a lot of energy, but we don't want you to have to import either.
Tesla.
Okay, so if
oh, sorry.
somebody signs up for this, there's no money down, right?
Correct.
That's right.
There's no, it doesn't follow them. I mean, if they leave the house, they don't, I mean, they sell the house or whatever, they don't owe the money,
That's right.
right? It stays with the property, right?
Correct.
It's like a fixture, right? Okay.
We're essentially creating a behind-the-meter solar and battery rate tariff through the CCA,
Okay.
which is very innovative and unique for the city.
So are you doing this at any other city?
Not yet.
That's right.
Isn't God good to us?
Seriously, I'm just uncomfortable with the extra battery. How many years?
The term of the program is 25 years.
We're not going to be here, Marvin.
Well, I'm not being here, but you're saying you have to buy it back, and I would imagine.
No, no,
it would be-
let me maybe explain. So if somebody were to move, the new homeowner would take over. The reason that you've heard, so most people that are buying a new home have no problem taking over solar and battery that provides backup and cheaper energy than they're buying now. They're getting clean energy, they're getting backup. The reason a lot of times that you've heard about these kind of lease transfers and problems with that from other partners is because the new person coming in doesn't qualify for credit. So they're not permitted to take over the lease in many cases. This program solves for that because there's an equity, a social equity in the CCA where any resident and customer of the CCA gets access to it. So the case where someone really doesn't want it, we do have an option for them to buy it out, but we expect that to be a very small amount of people, if any.
And that purchase price is at the time. So the expectation is that if it's 20 years from now, you're not paying anything more than what a 20-year-old battery is worth. And we don't know exactly what that is today, but we will be able to know that in the future.
But you're charging me $22,500 for that battery over the life of that battery, correct? That extra
Only in the
battery.
context of using it. So
Yeah.
every month that you use it, you're being charged.
That's extra. We're talking the extra battery at 75. So if you, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 75 times 12 times 25.
So I think you summed up the monthly payments, but those monthly payments are paying for the use
Yeah,
for
wouldn't that
time.
offset the electricity? I mean,
That's right.
you're going to build the system, if I
Right.
understand
So,
correctly.
but when I want to sell my home,
Right.
to buy the system out, is that battery still worth 22.5?
So by the time you've paid that down, you will be, the new owner will have the value of that remaining battery appraised. And an appraiser could come in and say it's $500, $1,000. We don't know what it is, but we know that if you've used 20 of 25 years of the product, that it will be, the value of it will be much, much less. So when the value of it, the appraised value is much, much less, that buyout is
Yeah,
small.
if you were using straight line depreciation, it would be nominal
Exactly.
That's right.
of what the value's left in it.
So all the batteries that I've been associated with have a guarantee for 12 years,
Correct.
and these are 25 years.
No, we actually have a replacement built in so that we can match the term of the solar.
Right.
So solar typically lasts 20 to 25 years under these kind of structures, and we've built in a replacement so that we can match up the terms.
Is there a cost for that?
No, it's
No
included.
additional.
What determines that?
Well, they're giving a
We're
warranty. for the
partnering with Tesla to buy an extended warranty, and then we're reserving to essentially replace the underlying equipment as it wears out.
What determines that? Because batteries degrade.
So,
Okay, they degrade on a percent level. So let's say it's 75% degraded, and it has 25% lifetime, or it can only hold 25% charge.
yeah.
What do you do at that time?
So at that time, we will replace the battery.
Okay.
So the fund will pay
At
for
no
it.
cost.
At no
no
cost.
Okay.
The same monthly cost, just to be clear, right?
Correct.
We've entered into a monthly cost, that monthly
It's
cost
essentially a
continues.
warranty for the battery for
That's right.
25 years.
It
right?
is.
That's right.
All right. So are there commercial applications?
That is an expansion area that we're looking into. We're very interested in it. It happens to be a group that I run personally, so we're very interested in expanding into that.
Would you hurry up? I'm spending $14,000 a month for
We would,
electricity.
we would love to hurry up,
That is
yes.
our goal.
Will you talk to me
Yeah.
and through the city manager or?
Of course.
Whatever afterwards? We pay $180,000 a month
Yeah,
at ABTA. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking for a battery solution right now.
we can definitely help.
We have a fuel cell solution. No? All right. I'm a believer, sort of. I don't understand. So we do this.
Yep.
People start getting on board when they see their neighbors doing it and they see the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Edison decides they want to raise their rates because that's what they did. I mean, essentially with solar, what they said was, well, it's not fair for people who don't have solar to pay for remember that,
Yeah.
right? So I'm sure they're going to do that again.
So this provides protection for your residents from that. So the energy rate, if you look at your Southern Cal Edison bill, where the CCA, Lancaster Energy, and Edison are on it. The CCA is providing the energy. Southern Cal Edison is providing the delivery, the poles, the wires, all that kind of stuff. So if you can keep a lot of the energy that's produced on your home, in your home, within the battery and the solar and consuming it on site, you're really minimizing the delivery charge, which is the only charge, I believe, that Southern Cal Edison can raise there. The CCA you're in control of, and then the solar rate is locked in. So really, this protects your residents against future rate hikes from Southern Cal Edison.
So it locks in the rate.
That's right.
It does.
So, these are great questions. So, because we'd all want them answered anyway.
Yep.
The line charge is based on the amount of kilowatt hours that are running across that line. And so if you get that down to nothing,
That's right.
that line charge from SCE would be close to nothing. So if they raised it, you're going, okay, if I'm producing my own power and putting it into the batteries, and that kilowatt hour is nominal, in order for the, I mean, they'd have to be like crazy, crazy. So, I mean, am I correct?
Yep. Exactly correct. That's right. That is our goal.
Yeah, I could see that, where you're managing that line charge down to not, I mean, you could.
Right.
Like you said, you don't want to over.
Right.
I just got finished being involved with a project, and they did like a 10% overproduction, did a averaging. You'd want to get as close as you can get to that. You want too much batteries, but you want enough.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how do we make this available to people who rent?
That rent. We can explore that. So what would end up happening in that case is the renter would sign up for the CCA program, and we would have to have the landlord that owns the property give us the right to keep the system there for 25 years. And in that case, we would absolutely be able to do that.
I think that the multifamily represents sort of an outgrowth area like commercial, where we wanted to start with something that was granular and specific, that we could have some working experience with, onboarding with the CCA, and then there's an expectation that based upon this success, we can continue to provide more innovative solutions.
It just has bothered me for a long time that it's the business model that keeps us from really taking advantage of alternative energy, because, the tenant pays the electric bill.
We agree. We fundamentally believe that the systems, the technology can scale down to meet individual loads. And to your point, the value of this electricity at the point of consumption is the most valuable because it allows for direct connection. However, historically, there has been a PPA structure that basically requires somebody to guarantee that if you can't buy the power any given month, you're going to buy the whole system, a termination value, an exit tax or cost. Here, where we're essentially able to move away from that and to essentially allow for a more equitable approach, and we're able to do that because the city is in the transaction as the counterparty. And that's fundamentally why we're able to offer savings vis-a-vis other potential providers, is because our cost of capital and our execution is a lot cleaner through working in cooperation with the city.
Really, a partnership with the CCA is what enables this.
Yes.
I have one question. Can I ask one last question?
He's asking for him to explain it.
I didn't hear it. Sorry.
Explain that to me.
Explain what?
The partnership. So if I were basically going to look at a pool of potential off-takers, and I'm going to enter into a contract with each person, and I'm going to say, you have to essentially pay me in the future. I'm going to look at your FICO score, I'm going to look at your ability to repay in the future, and then based upon my feeling of your credit rating, I'm going to then charge you a rate reflective of that perceived risk. Here, all right, we're selling power to the CCA, and the CCA is selling that power to the underlying residents. So when we talk about who is our counterparty, who's the counterparty on our risk, it's Lancaster Energy. And so we've moved away from a pool of individuals to essentially a municipal counterparty, so our costs are lower, and at the same time, our ability to meet the market is much greater, because now I don't have to essentially segregate away from people that can't, everybody has to pay for their power, but they can't evidence that they have the cash to pay for the system. That's where there's an inequitable problem in the structure around the PPA that we're trying to solve and address. And so this is novel because it's a new approach in partnership, but it's also a new way to approach the underlying contracting to address that specific critical flaw.
So what's the risk to the city?
That we move forward with this, and that we are, for one reason or another, we're not successful, right? And then no homes ultimately get this system deployed, and then we've spent a lot of time and energy to implement a system that doesn't actually produce anything. But that much said, there's no payment from the city. The city's receiving payment. And then the intention here is to allow for the city to participate in the sale of electricity to these homes
So
from
we're not
energy generated
underwriting-
on site.
We're not
But
underwriting this, right?
no, not at all.
All right.
When
So
you,
Patty,
when you appraise a home, is this structure part of that appraisal?
In the case of leases and PPAs, they're excluded from the appraisal.
So if I have this on my home and my home burns down, and let's use round numbers, and the home was insured for 100,000, I get the 100,000 to replace my home.
Correct.
But I still owe you for the system.
No, in that case, the fund is insuring the system, so the fund will cover the replacement of the system.
So if there was loss or a property and casualty event, the expectation is we're the ones with the insurable risk around that system. We would not be, ultimately, and I believe that we're naming the homeowner as additionally insured so that if there was a problem, they would be able to access our insurance.
That's in the fine print.
that would be the same for theft, for vandalism?
Yeah, any insurable risk, right? So we're carrying the same insurance across the whole fleet of assets.
It's just for the new homes that are built, if they're appraised at 400,000 and you have a $50,000 unit on it, that house is not appraised for 450. So it will make a home with this more difficult to.
No, so actually, historically, in the new home industry, they really like PPAs and leases, because typically what would happen in an appraisal process, and this is a bigger, more complex question, but typically the cost of solar has been more than the incremental appraised value. So the system that cost you, I think you said 50,000, but the appraiser only gives you 20,000 of credit for it. That only applies in a cash sale, right? Because in a cash sale, that system is part of the home. In a lease or a PPA, it is not part of the home, it's owned by the fund, which means that the appraisal does not take into account the solar system, but it also doesn't count against the loan to value or debt to income ratio in terms of payments, anything like that. So historically, builders have really adopted leases and PPAs because it allowed people to focus on spending their money on the home and upgrades.
Not additional funds
and-
for the solar system over and above. Yeah.
That's right,
Against the backdrop that all new homes have to have solar,
right.
statutorily.
So if 10,000 people sign up tomorrow for this, 10,000 homes, how long is it going to take you to fill the orders?
I would have to work with my deployment team, but Tesla is quite a large organization, and we would
Yeah, but
mobilize our.
Tesla farms out most of its labor.
No, we do most of our in-house. It's all Tesla crews.
If you go up to Fremont, the plant of Tesla, all of the employees work for somebody else, right? They outsource it all. Now, how are you different?
I can't speak to the plant. I'm on the energy side, but I know on the energy side, most of the installers are our own employees.
Okay. So how quickly could you fill the orders?
I would have to speak to our deployment team. That would be a very good problem to have, and
Well, I
I'd
think
be
it could
happy to
a
get you that
bigger problem
information.
than that, because Patty is going to take this program, and she's going to sign up other cities to our CC&A, because now we have something nobody else has. And I'm assuming you are, wait a minute, our deal with you, right? We have exclusivity. Oh.
We just want to hear.
That's a hostile environment, isn't it? All right.
Tesla does not provide exclusivity, unfortunately.
Well, then we just have to change the deal, right? What I'm concerned about is that, okay, we get this thing up and running.
Yep.
We start selling it to other cities, right? I don't want you to end run us and work with them directly.
I think this, I don't know if this is the right forum.
Yeah,
No, this is Lancaster. I do everything out in the open.
Okay. We would have to talk about the model of expanding to other cities. But Tesla does have activities where we work with other CCAs and other municipalities and other utilities directly. So,
I'm less concerned about that than I am the other cities taking up the manpower.
I'm sorry, take up the deployment manpower?
Bandwidth. So I think that it's important to understand that as the fund, we are looking to a long-term, wider relationship with the city. And, you know, we haven't really scoped what that looks like, but we wanted to start with the success here and build outwards. And so our goal is to create a relationship and then have that relationship grow. So that directly addresses sort of your concern around that. Like in terms of end run, obviously, like our mission here is to allow for greater environmental justice across as wide a platform as we can. All right, we're in the business of doing this, and so we want to be transparent about our goal to do that. And you know, fundamentally, realizing institutional scale is how we're able to lower costs in the future and continue to grow this program and continue to drive more and more savings to your customers and more profit to the CCAs. That much said, I think that it's important to understand that Tesla's uniquely prepared to ramp up to meet these goals. And so if you were to compare Tesla against some other third-party installer, because of the strength of the organization and the wherewithal of the organization, we would, if the orders are there, I don't believe that that will ever represent a problem. And we have a strong alignment of interest from a commercial reason for us to see those deployments happening as quickly as possible and to press on Tesla to ensure that that is, all these goals are met, right? And so we are, again, true partners side by side with the city in ensuring that Tesla is bringing forth all of the resources necessary. And we have that leverage because ultimately we're the ones that are paying for it. And so, you know, you benefit from that leverage.
So,
Yeah, but you're paying a lot less because of us, right?
And the nature of the partnership.
so Mayor, wouldn't that be a good on our part? We work through this model. Wouldn't it help us sell more to more cities on CCA to say, look, here's this additional added benefit?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But what I'm concerned about is if we don't have some type of agreement with them, that they will meet our demand.
First.
How do we deal with that?
So right now, what we're doing is we're forecasting deployments with your team, and we are ramping our installation crews to meet those forecasts. If we exceed those forecasts, we will increase our hiring plan. So we are all aligned in meeting whatever the demand is that we can generate from this program. There's absolutely no reason for us to slow down.
Have you put one in on a home already?
This program is here for approval, but we have done homes in Lancaster before.
And how long did it take?
Our installations? A single installation can take anywhere from 1 day to 3, 4, 5 days, depending on the size and complexity of the system. And we run many crews at the same time, and those crews are what we would increase as demand increases.
How large do you anticipate? The numbers that I'm looking at are saying that if you do one a day, it's going to take you 27 years to do 10,000.
We would increase our install capacity to meet as much of the demand as we can.
I know how uncomfortable we're making this.
So it's a good conversation.
But
Yeah.
it's a $50 million deal and when you add it all up.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad about
No,
asking
that's
hard
okay.
questions to you.
And I think that it's important to understand that while a crew, the physical installation may be 1 day, the expectation is a crew could work on more than one project in 1 day. It wasn't just to suggest that that's exclusively the sum total of the work. It's, you know, how long are we on site? 1 day to 1 week,
Right.
It's how long we're on site. But there's an expectation that we can schedule multiple sites to be handled in 1 day and then hire more crews.
Which brings me to the next point. I'm assuming you're going to hire local people to do this and train local people to do this?
I will coordinate with our deployment team, but when we have volume in certain areas, we build local warehouses, and obviously we would hire local contractors wherever possible. I think the answer is this volume goes to where we expect it, it makes logical and practical sense to have a local warehouse and have local employees for installation, design. And I want to make sure you understand, when someone orders, it's not one day and it's built and everything's done. There's a whole process of design, interconnection, permitting, all that. But it makes all the sense in the world.
Getting permits in Lancaster
Yeah.
is a lot easier than anywhere else in the world.
So this would be similar to our model that we follow with vehicle manufacturing, where when the size of the market gets big enough for us, our strong preference is to actually manufacture locally, and we would take the similar approach here.
How hard is it to train people up to do this?
You know, a lot of these people are kind of traditional trades of electricians and roofers. So we hire when we can people with experience, but we're also able to, in those traditional trades, but we're also able to train people from scratch for certain roles. And we then promote people that can take stronger leadership positions and that can train other people. So this is actually a great development program for residents of Lancaster.
The concern I would have with that is not that you won't do it, I believe you will do it. But there's no assurances to the citizens, you know, that you're going to be hiring local people, that this is going to be a win-win for the entire community. I mean, we're talking a lot of employees here, right? And, you know, like when we worked with BYD, we had those things in place. You know, there was so much of the workforce had to be at-risk employees. Yeah, I'm not seeing any of that. How come, Patty?
I think it was a practical consideration, not a contractual consideration right now. It only makes sense for us when the volume increases to hire here, to have warehousing here, to build a center here. 10,000 units, 5,000 units, whatever it is, homes, is a sufficient amount of demand that there's a lot of scale and benefit for everybody if we are local.
So
What's on the books? What's on the books now, Trelease, on housing? How many units do we have?
Currently, we have about 2,500 units approved in housing. Actively, I think we're doing about 300 building permits a year.
So all of those would be on this, right?
If the builder chooses to, so this
They
program is.
have to be net zero, why wouldn't they?
We believe so, but we want to make sure that there's a fair and open playing ground for other solar installers. So we are one offer. We think it's a very compelling offer, but it's an open playing field.
So how long is this deal for?
25-year.
No. It's 25 years for the homeowner. How long is the deal?
Currently, it's an open-ended term. You have the right to terminate if you don't like how it's going.
All right, I want the employment issue looked at. Can you guys do that?
Yeah, we can look into it.
When as it ramps up, I want to see that this is going to happen. I don't want to make it so restrictive that it increases the cost. I don't want to do that. But I also want some assurances.
Absolutely.
That, I mean, this is a huge deal, and I want to leverage it for the citizens as much as we can, not just for the city's income from it. Fair enough?
Absolutely. There is an actual shortage of trade people across the country. So this is, again, in all of our best interest to pursue exactly what you said.
And are you working with unions? What's the deal on that?
I would have to speak to our deployment team. Tesla's a very large organization. We typically are not a union shop in our factory settings. So that's pretty well known about Tesla, so. Yeah.
I'm actually concerned about the electricians, you know, that you need certified electricians to do
That's
this,
right.
right?
That's right. We follow all of the rules and code requirements for C10 electricians and having the properly trained staff.
So when are we going to review it again? 6 months, a year?
Yeah, we can.
What works for you?
When are we going to
I'm sorry.
come back for approval again?
No, we're going to,
Come
if
back
we
to see
approve it
where
now,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to know that these things have been addressed.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and if they haven't been addressed to our satisfaction, we'll just pull it.
That's right.
Whatever your
Right.
cadence is.
So what, if you would like to review this in 6 months, we're absolutely happy to
Okay.
do it.
Yeah.
And we can review it periodically through the life of the program.
Okay, and is the deal with the Lancaster Community Choice, or is it with the city of Lancaster?
It's Lancaster Energy, through the city of Lancaster.
I'm sorry, you got to talk louder.
City of Lancaster.
How come?
Because the city of Lancaster is the legal entity. It's Lancaster Energy on behalf of Lancaster Energy, but the legal entity is the city of Lancaster.
Really? I thought we incorporated all of it.
So Lancaster Energy has its own separate finances, but it is not a separate legal entity.
Okay. Fair enough. How many other cities are we providing services to?
None right now.
None yet. We would be
Not
Under
this,
this program.
not this, for the
In general,
for the-
Cal Choice is
10
eight-
cities, I believe.
10
Or no, I'm
cities?
sorry, it's 8 cities. 8
Eight
cities,
cities in
including
addition,
Lancaster.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we just wrap it all together?
That is the intent. Lancaster was where this started, so we wanted to launch with Lancaster first. And then we're working with Patty and Jason and Trelise and everybody to bring this option to other CalChoice members.
And there may be
That's a
some
much bigger
small
deal, which would
differentiation
certainly
between
mean
the
a much
programs.
bigger piece, right?
There's also an opportunity for us to show the other CalChoice cities that this program is great, it's beneficial, you know, there's all these different benefits to
No,
the
I
customer.
mean, that's really what we're providing here.
Yeah.
We're going to showcase it. If it works here, it'll work anywhere, right? It makes it very easy for them to buy into it because they can see it. That was the goal 10 years ago when we started down this path.
Absolutely.
I wish I could say one last question. You have no problem giving this presentation to the Board of Realtors?
No
No?
So,
problem.
Oh, they do, because they're going to have graphics when they do.
We
We'll
can,
have graphics
we can do a
and
Going to make
presentation.
it
All the
very easy.
so one of us councilmen will go with you, but as far as making a presentation, we can do that and
Yes.
Yeah.
set it up and you'll make the presentation to their board?
Have to.
Okay.
Okay. And when are you going to have the commercial component?
I think,
I think we want to work through this
yeah,
one
like,
first.
I feel like in all candor, I think that what we would try to do is be in a place where we would be in a position to offer the standalone Powerwall as a retrofit for in single-family homes, multifamily and commercial, all with a goal of rolling it out in Q1 of next year, right? That gives us sort of 6 months to get to the end of Q1 next year. That would be a goal. In order for that to really happen, I think we would need to sort of have a good success on the single-family homes, and then essentially expand those systems and processes. So fundamentally, we want to flow some of the opportunities through the program, and then learn from those mistakes before we start getting out over our skis.
With your approval,
Right.
our goal is to launch and move as fast as we can, and we are prepared to launch when the city is ready in weeks, not months.
Right.
So we're ready to move.
Days would be better.
Well, we can do that too. We are actually ready to launch on Thursday if we absolutely
You know,
wanted to.
one of the reasons I'm really excited about this is it gives us resilience.
Absolutely.
You know, that earthquake hits, we're up and running. I mean,
Yep.
nothing changes. The food doesn't go bad, the lights don't go out, that is so huge. Because we know it's gonna happen, you know. Now, if you could just figure out a way to safeguard our water, I'd really be appreciative.
One problem at a time.
Yes.
Okay, Fran, thank you. Oh, did you have a question?
I'm good.
You sure?
Do you want to come up? Watch out.
What about you, Sean, you got anything?
I'm trying to understand this.
They can't answer.
Oh, well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I'm on here. I'm very, very interested in this program. I jotted down quite a few little notes. I hope I can make sense of them to myself. Now, the battery lifetime is a 25-year life use. Now, as the way I understand it, if the homeowner uses it for the 15 years, it still has a 10-year life, where the new homeowner will get a new battery that will last, which is a guarantee for another 25 years? Or is it just for, but you also said,
Friend, talk to us.
you also said that they would only have the balance of the 15 years. Now, after the 15 years, if they want to keep the system, they would have to order it on their own. And would the cost of 224 cash be the same cost, or would inflation be involved? That's one question. And also, and if the energy is stored and saved in the battery for whatever time, would the client or the homeowner get a credit towards their energy bill for the difference? Because right now, the way the solar works, if we how can I explain it? If our solar panels the energy is full. I know I'm not saying this in a
You
very,
run the meter backwards.
yeah, but we get a credit.
That's how you get a credit, is you run the meter backwards.
Right, but that's because the solar panels have generated a lot of energy. So so we're not using energy at that point. So would this also be the same thing? I've got a lot of thoughts in my head, and also when you were saying about the trade situation and keeping the trades here in Lancaster, then I think we should start getting into the school systems and the colleges and start training these young people, because that's what I believe Lancaster is looking for, so we can keep the employment here in Lancaster.
Friend, to answer your question, we've already done that. We actually have systems out at the college now that the IBEW has set up, and that's the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers has set that up. They train them at the college for that. At both sites, both Palmdale and Lancaster, ABC.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yes, I agree. I'm aware of that also. I guess basically that's what I have to say. Oh, my time's up. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I made sense. I know it's in my head I made sense, but I'm not sure if I put this.
I tracked. I want better projections, employees, money it brings into the community. I want it all right? Okay, good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve CC 13
I'll second that motion.
with the changes that were talked about.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Listen, before you go, are we working with your PR department, and are we going to roll this out together, and are we rolling it out nationally? I mean, those are concerns I have. Patty, are you in the middle of that?
Yes, I am in the middle of that.
Okay.
Now that we have approval, we'll work on the formal rollout and talking to other CCAs and rolling it out to other cities and doing all that.
Okay, give us a plan of when all of this is going to happen. This is a huge thing. It's not a small, I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Really huge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Paris. Mayor Paris.
Sean has a question.
As the deputy mayor with the focus on social equity, this is very exciting for me. They kept saying that word. I know you guys heard it, equity, equitable solutions, social equity. And this is another example of how this city takes steps towards equitable solutions, and equity does mean everyone. So for everyone watching out there, and they hear that word equity, and they have this gut reaction to it, this is what the city of Lancaster is talking about when they talk about equity. I'm very excited about this and how it's going to help, and the implications for the future. And it's going to solidify the city's legacy of innovation and equity. So very exciting.
If we can bring the power bill down, I mean, people are having to spend a fortune, and just to have a survivable environment in their house with the air conditioning. This is fabulous, but I want it marketed. When we roll it out, I want the benefits to be seen, not imagined. Okay? Good. Thank you. Sean was telling me that he pays $1,000 a month for his electric bill, right? How is that possible? You know? Now you got to pay $200.
I can't wait.
Okay. Very good job. Open PH1. Public hearing is now open. Did you see how well I did that?
You did it twice.
13
It's
years,
very open.
But it was perfect.
It was
13
perfect.
See what practice does for you?
I have no speaker cards.
And we have no speaker cards. So, can we waive the staff report?
Should.
Everybody
Good
good with
with
that?
me.
You good with that, Daryl? Okay. Let's waive the staff report. Is there a motion?
Close the public.
Please close
Oh, I
the
gotta
public
close the
hearing.
public hearing?
Motion to approve PH1.
I almost did it right, didn't I? Maybe next year.
That's okay, keeps it fun that way.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve PH1.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to include ordinance 1094 and adopt resolution 2358.
2258.
Let's vote.
2258, thank you.
And it's unanimous, approved. Moving on to council reports. You know, this is actually a really huge meeting, but it's really short. Okay. Any council reports?
I have several. We had the ABQMD meeting. We gave away some grant money. We're looking to create a field where we can actually charge electric vehicles. So we're looking to do that. At ABTA, a lot of the staff went to the APTA Awards, and we received awards that said that the ABTA is the best in the country. So we were very proud of that. The fair, we did receive a large grant for some buildings that we're building at the fairs. So we did receive a large grant award. The amount wasn't given, but it should be upwards towards 20 million plus. We did do our Fallen Heroes ride.
That starts to add up after a while, I'm just saying.
Our Fallen Heroes ride was Sunday. A lot of people went to it, and that's where we honor all our fallen heroes with the 5 different entities. We did the hunt at the hangar on, do you have a video on that?
We do have video.
Do you want to play it now?
Yep.
Welcome everyone to the hangar, our new location for Halloween. We're having a good time here. We have Councilman Mann, Councilman Raj Mali here. We're enjoying ourselves along with about 5,000 or 6,000 other people. And it's a new location. We moved it from the boulevard to the hangar, and we're enjoying ourselves.
Against last year, I would say we got twice the attendance. You can really see out there what a big crowd tonight.
Big crowd. Mr. Molly,
I
how about that weather?
I'm loving it. I like cold. I brought my daughter and my niece, and they're loving it. And I think this is a great event. And I see a lot of families. I ran into a lot of family that with a lot of kids, and they're having an amazing time.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a family event. This is what Lancaster's about.
dated the one
We don't care if you're just from Lancaster, Palmdale, anywhere. You're welcome at the hangar. There you are, Rex. And lastly, the senior expos. We sent Ken there because he was a good representative to go to the senior expo.
Unfortunately, he couldn't win.
And no, Raj made the lineup. That was impressive, Raj.
Thank you.
I think you come in like third or fourth.
Second. After you.
Marvin, did you want to do a recap
If
on?
Marvin's comments about your advanced years
Yes.
starts to bother you in any way, we do have a human relations department here that you could take it to the.
Yeah, and then there's the HUD is where you usually file the lawsuit in relationship to seniors.
I mean, I was a little shocked, reading the text messages about your physical, well, never mind.
Okay. Marvin, did you want to recap NCTC?
Yeah. We did have an NCTC meeting. Thanks for bringing that up, Ken. The NCTC meeting, and we talked about the homeless being dropped off by the Metrolink train.
Again?
Again?
Where's Ron?
And-
Have we verified that?
Sir, we've been doing a survey. I will tell you that we saw a 2-week period where we counted close to 40 homeless individuals getting off the train in Lancaster, but unable to determine if they were in fact, coming to the city to stay. So.
Why not? They got off the train.
What I'm saying is we're unsure if they were homeless that may have taken the train down south and came back. We just weren't able to determine whether or not, because they didn't have the immediate appearances if they were bringing a bunch of stuff with them when they were getting off the train.
I thought we had a deputy on that train, taking
We
tickets.
did. We brought it up to them. They've since, they no longer do that.
Wait a minute, they sign a contract with us, they agree to do it, and then they just decide they no longer do that?
Yes, that's the way they work.
Maybe
So-
I could do that with my house payment.
Yeah, it was a fun meeting.
It was, and we voiced it, and Metrolink, and the rest of everybody doesn't like Lancaster because we keep asking them to fix the problems that they forgot about up here. But it's not just us that are having this problem, it's all the end stops with the Metrolink. So as a representative on the NCTC, I'm going to recommend to you that we close the Metrolink until they solve the problem. And I asked at AVTA today that for them to structure a bus bridge between the Metrolink station here and Palmdale. And I don't want to do that to Palmdale because then they will ride it to the end link at Palmdale and get off there. So I actually asked them to do a bus bridge between Lancaster, Palmdale, and end up at the station in Acton.
Do I have authority to do that, or do we have to put it on the agenda and vote for it?
If the council's going to take an action, it would need to be on the agenda. So let us put something together for the appropriate action and have it on the next agenda.
Why don't I just wrap it in COVID? Some of those people could have COVID.
You can give direction to the city manager to take action, but the council can't vote on it because it's not on the agenda.
Do I have the authority to give the city manager directions to close that station.
Yes.
Close that station.
Mayor, wouldn't we, having a bus bridge, because this was a question that came up, and I'm trying to turn it around, wouldn't we would then have a greater insight of the amount of people that had been coming up here? Because if they've got to get on a bus somewhere else to get to Lancaster, we're going to be able to see who's getting on the bus.
Well, the goal of this is to quit shipping homeless to
I got that.
Lancaster. I don't want to change the method of transportation.
Okay, that wasn't what I was alluding to. I was alluding to the numbers, but either way.
Wait a minute.
'Cause we still
To me,
gotta get-
Wait a minute, it's
we
not
still
about
gotta
the
peop-
numbers. What it's about is they agreed, this is what they would do. This is what we would do. We shook hands, we signed a deal, and now they're saying, well, it's a public meeting, I won't say what they're saying. Nonetheless, it's not a question about how many. They have a deal. They broke the deal. When they want to renegotiate that deal after we close the station, I'll be happy to talk to them. But that station closes. Fair enough? Everybody agree?
We
I
can't
don't wanna
reach
vote.
consensus. We can't
Oh.
do it.
Anybody have a burning desire to say something?
I called Rod 3 times last week on behalf of the businesses by my church and myself. We had 2 manic homeless people. One would not leave the parking lot and literally made it a mess. Scared the women at the medical center that's next to my church. So much so that now the owners are putting up bars because they have broken into the clinic next to my church and are shooting up behind my church in the dumpsters. I am cleaning up needles by the groves, which is scaring me because of Sunday morning. We have our children's church with about 100 children that run in my parking lot. I know it's getting worse. I know it's getting worse. I'm out there at 4 in the morning for some of the extra activities that I do, and I'm literally chasing people away from the area that I am in because they don't want food. And a lot of them, they're on a different type. It's not the ones that we think. We keep grouping homelessness as just people that need the help of getting back on their feet. We are dealing with another type that's over in the area that I am in, at least. And I see it. I see it at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Our building has been written upon, has been broken into. I know what's going on, Mayor. So I can't. All these people that come up here and fuss that we're not taking care of the homeless, we're not doing our job, they're not looking into what's happening up here in the streets. The ones that are ending up dead in the streets because they don't have what they need because they're sending them up here without the money. And that's why I agree with you on the count. Because if they lower our count, they lower the amount of money that they're sending our way. That's another thing that I got upset about. All of a sudden it went from 3,000 to 600, which means that that's 70% of the monies that they're taking from us again. So I agree. We need to do something that shakes the minds. And we know the Olympics is coming. We don't want them shipping it our way either.
Daryl, every city has their problem with the homeless. Some cities have decided to ship them, give them a Metrolink ticket and send them to the end of the ride. They send them on the AV line, and we're not taking care of the entire Southern California's homeless. We can't.
Well, it's getting off at Santa Clarita. I've talked to the Santa Clarita councilman, and I have friends that live in Santa Clarita, and they've seen an uptick that they've never seen before. So it's along that whole route. They're shipping them this way. We can look for numbers, but we're seeing it ourselves. All the Antelope Valley is seeing it right now. We're seeing it. It's all right, man. I know you're angry.
I thought he was going to start beating on the counter with that. I wasn't for sure.
Close the station, figure out what the cost of that is to the city. Meaning, we got to provide, the AVTA has to provide bus service to do the bridge. Start preparing the lawsuit. we had a contract, they violated the contract. See if there's a liquidated damages clause in that contract. The next one we sign will have one if it doesn't, right? You know, people in the city have got to recognize that we don't have enough deputies to protect you. We don't have the ability to protect you as long as LA keeps sending their homeless up here. This becomes, people die as a result of this. They die in their homes where we can't see them being murdered in their homes, but we know that it does occur. Until we have enough of the hybrid police department personnel to pick up the slack, we have to recognize that. So what do we do about it? We can just be victims, or we can do things we never contemplated before. Closing the station is just one of the small things we have in mind. I want to start training our citizens how to protect their homes with a firearm. And if they can't afford the firearm, I want to subsidize buying them a firearm. We are not going to be victimized by a bunch of homeless thugs. And that's what's happening to us. And I really don't care what anybody has to say about it, because quite frankly, it is our absolute fundamental obligation to protect the public safety of this community before all else. And our way of doing that is to hide the fact that we're not doing it. We are not doing it. I'm not going to tolerate that much longer, and I know you guys aren't either. That station closes next week.
Let us get the bus bridge in place first.
How long does it take to get a bus?
Bridge, we have to find the buses, find the routes, take them from somewhere. Let me get it, next week sounds good, but let me make sure. I don't want to harm the citizens that are using it to commute with. Let me make sure it's in place.
As soon as Marvin has the buses, we close the station. I don't want any meetings before then. It closes. If they want to reopen it, they can come to us and we'll reopen it if they start doing what they said they would do. How long is it going to take for us to have enough of the hybrid officers to pick up this slack?
Well, sir, we just finished our organizational structure. We'll be presenting that to Jason probably next week or as soon as he returns. And at that point, it'll come to council, and once you bless it, we'll start moving towards our hiring process. Understand that officers are, depending on what type we get, whether they're new and have to attend an academy, or whether they are previously retired, there'll be some time for the hiring process. We'll have to go through our full vetted background investigation either way.
Rod, how long before we're up and running at full capacity?
That's hard to say, but I can tell you, sir, we're going to need at least a year to get our officers up and running, the actual police officers. If we're hiring our own, we'll need at least a year, considering training and hiring process.
What's the average response time on a serious call?
Oh, the serious call, John, do you remember the serious? I can't recall the serious.
The response time is 10.5 minutes average to an emergent call currently. I'm sorry, that's a priority call. It's 3:30 in the city for an emergent call. 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
In the city?
Yes, sir. In the city.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, those are good. Those are the emergency calls.
Then why is it taking us 300 minutes on non-priority calls?
The sheer volume of emergent and priority calls forces the routine calls to the bottom of the priority, and the lack of personnel that we have to roll to those calls also impacts it.
Well, I think it's safe to assume the Board of Supervisors is not going to be giving the sheriff a gift of funding to hire additional deputies. So what are we doing What are we doing to, I mean, we can't bury our head in the sand.
Agreed, sir. And I'll tell you now, we have actually started to rethink and redeploy, and that includes the Sheriff's Department coming up with new deployments for their officers that are helping. We, as a city, have begun to identify processes we can use, including dealing with troubled locations. We're developing a new process on dealing with those locations because many of the problems, and I'm sure the captain will second this, start at some of those locations. So we've started that already. And I do feel that we'll be able to hire a piece of our hybrid program that's going to help quite a bit. In hopefully 3 months, be able to hire our law enforcement specialists. And those are persons who are going to go and take those routine calls and handle that reporting and free up those deputies so that they can address the serious issues more rapidly.
John, that makes sense to you? Is that the plan?
Yes, sir. We've been discussing, what we used to call a high impact area plan of attack, that we could focus our resources in the high impact areas and try to remove the anchors for crime in the area. It's a temporary restructuring of our resources in order to do that.
No, I was thinking more of, are we identifying which calls are going to be shifted to Rod's group, so your people are freed up?
Yes, sir. We've been working on identifying with as we work to help train those folks to learn how to do the documentation part of it. That'll help us define which calls are best going to be given to them and which calls will remain in our purview.
Trelise, do we still have vacant beds at the homeless shelter?
We have vacant beds for the city of Lancaster, yes.
So my understanding of was it Judge Carr's decision, is that as long as we have beds available, we can keep these people from camping wherever they want?
That is a short version, yes.
So why am I seeing homeless people camped along the overpass, not overpasses,
Is that a new decision? The reason I'm gonna ask on
the on-ramps.
piggyback with you, Rex, because the officers are nervous of removing homeless out of the. I had them come, and a couple of them told me, Daryl, we can't touch them if they're not being violent.
Well, I didn't say beat them up. I just want them moved.
They won't even move them. They really, the first question they'll ask is, have they done? They can scream, they can cuss, they can throw their clothes out their cars, they can light candles, but the officers are really, because of the new laws, they are nervous about moving them off of properties. So I'm curious about what you just asked and what she just said, because this just recently happened in a parking lot with businesses, and the officers, the sheriff's department of this city, were telling me that they were nervous about moving them.
Right, so the case law to which the mayor referred was a circumstance in which there was not shelter beds available and homeless were moved, and that was found to be a violation of their constitutional rights. So the inverse has been that if there are beds to which they can move, then it should be okay to move homeless. That hasn't been actually tested yet, though. So that's probably, not having spoken to the officers you're talking about, that's probably where the nervousness comes from, but that's my suspicion.
Why is the department concerned about that? We pay for the insurance. We pay for the liability if something goes bad. I mean, why am I having to live with a county-wide methodology that doesn't work? If we're willing to pick up the liability.
Well, the city pays into the contract city's liability trust fund, which is managed by a group of city managers. It's been charged on me to make sure that we protect, our portion of that. And thankfully, the city of Lancaster hasn't had to dive in past their contribution in quite some time. it's one of the resources that the county has to protect the city, and we do our best to try to be risk averse on those things. The fact that we're managing a lot of the risks issues that go along with removing somebody from a property, where we might actually have to take enforcement action on them, and then the goal of removing them and finding them service wouldn't be met, because if we had to take some kind of enforcement action, then we end up using force on them to take them into custody. Then they end up in custody and they don't end up in some place where they're going to get services or moved out of the area.
The problem is, though, it causes the owners of those properties to either get physical or cause an altercation, especially if it's causing people that's coming as patrons. Again, I keep bringing up we had a service that night, and the gentleman was literally scaring people and then stayed till the morning. And I appreciate your officers did help out finally the next day, but it's causing situations where I don't see how we're doing homeless people a justice when they're walking down the street zoned out. They're a danger to themselves and people that are driving. You can clearly see something is wrong. It's one thing to say somebody's homeless and they're trying to eat and they need help. It's another when these people are either drug-induced or causing issues within the city. And the officers are still nervous because they're saying of the new laws that they can't touch them. And we have to do something around that, because they're literally setting up camp, and not just the homes and I'm with the mayor on that. We want to protect our citizens, but also the businesses, where you have businesses now investing in gates and iron fences that are making us look like, it's a war zone now. And it doesn't look good at all.
I do not want a city that's covered with bars. I do not want to look like some places that it looks in LA because of the homeless situation. We built them a state-of-the-art, most advanced homeless facility in the country. They don't want to go there? Fine, take them to jail. I want them off our streets. If the sheriff's department can't do that, tell me you won't do it. And then we will hire some people to do it. But this is going to be a safe city, and I don't really care what the risks are in bringing that about. Could I be any clearer to you? We are not governed by the dictates of Los Angeles County and the district attorney's office, who thinks it's okay for people to commit crimes on a wholesale basis without any prosecution whatsoever. That will not be us. Are you not getting it?
I understand you, sir.
And I understand you have superiors to answer to. Tell them that could change. I have been the biggest supporter of the sheriff's department in this county, but only because I want our citizens safe, and they are no longer safe. It's very clear to me the job is not being done. If the department can't do it, tell us. Just tell us you can't do it. We'll figure out another way to do it. But we're not putting our head in the sand anymore. I'll take all the heat of the ACLU. I'll take all the heat of the liberals that want to call me the devil incarnate because I don't care about the homeless. But you have got to clean it up. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
When can you report back to me as to what you're going to do about it? And I don't mean to be beating up on you personally, but I am beating up on your department.
Yes, sir. I'm probably going to need 60 days to get with our homeless folks and see if we can develop a strategy to impact the homeless here in the city.
And it was, 21 days ago, one of those homeless people broke into that woman's home, and how many bullets did he put in her?
I can't discuss that here in the meeting, sir.
Our people are not safe. You have to make them safe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And I was having such a nice evening.
Well, Rex, it's needed, Rex, because our medical office just put up a whole chain of bars right next to, and now my deacons want us to do it at our church, and I refuse to. So it's happening.
If we
So-
put up those bars, we're not getting in new businesses.
Right.
We're not getting in new employers because people don't want to live in those places.
Right, right.
It really is that simple. So, got anything to say, Sean?
I think as a point of equity, we have, that public safety is a key component of that. I would say that closing down the Metrolink station is a little bit of cost concern, but I think that could be mitigated if we make sure that with that bus bridge, that we prioritize passengers that can show that they are commuters, because that's gonna cause some delays, and we don't want those delays to mean that people lose their jobs or their hours get cut. So if there's a way for us to figure out how we can make sure that commuters still get to where they need to go on time and maximize notices, that would be great. But like Councilman Doris said, there are folks who are walking down our streets zoned out, and I see it, and I have a 2-year-old son. And there was a law that was just passed that makes it legal to jaywalk. And so if you don't even know that you're crossing the street in the middle of traffic, and then there's nothing that our sheriff's department can do about that, that's a huge, huge problem. And I think that the city has a responsibility to make sure that we address that problem in every way that we have at our disposal.
Thank you. It's not illegal to jaywalk anymore?
No. Is 2147?
I believe so.
So if you run into somebody who's jaywalking and they come up on the hood of your car and through your windshield and hit you,
Guess you should have saw.
how does that make sense? I mean, jaywalking is really a serious issue.
I don't think it makes sense that somebody is drugged out and homeless and we don't force them into some type of help. Leaving them out there, to me, is more inhumane, allowing them to do what they do than to force them into some help.
I would agree.
So,
I would agree. All right. So we got a plan, right, Rod? Yes, sir. Captain?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you.
don't check your Facebook tomorrow, Rex.
So does anybody else have a report that's going to make me improve my day?
You missed the fun at the NTC meeting, because we talked about it.
What they do at the NTC meeting?
NCTC.
NCTC, that's where we brought it up. Anyway,
And what did they say?
They said they look into it. They're finding problems at all the end runs. And we
yeah, it
asked
wasn't
them-
isolated to,
No, it's not isolated to us. It's at all the end run for the city for Metrolink. So it is a Metrolink, and they said that it is a problem. What we're trying not to do is dump the problem onto Palmdale. We're trying to back it up and have them go back to fixing it. And the fix was they had a conductor or a sheriff ride the train and ask everyone on that train for tickets, and they have some tie to the community that they're going to. That's no longer being done.
Well, I don't think we can ask them about ties to the community, but we can certainly require them to have a ticket.
Well, the other organizations, Metrolink is giving out free tickets to, some of the nonprofits are asking for tickets for the Metrolink for people that want to go home or people that want to leave the area. So they give them from Glendale, they ride it up here.
Wait a minute. Metrolink is giving tickets to the nonprofit homeless agencies to distribute to the homeless so they can come up here.
Well, not so that they come up here. That's not the stated purpose of why they did it, but that's the
effect.
That's the effect that they're having. They don't listen to the effect. People have to understand that we govern 95 and a half square miles, and most cities in the LA basin are 10 to 15 square miles. So when you're talking about jaywalking, jaywalking in Burbank is much different than jaywalking in Lancaster. So when you're going out, you're still populated out, going Avenue I, 20th Street East. You're still very much populated, but people are doing, you know, large speed limits. It's just a problem. They don't see it. They make laws that affect us, that they don't understand, affect us differently than it affects them.
All right. How
Would
long
you, would you allow
Allison,
me
do you
to-
remember how long that contract was with Metrolink?
I do not, and I've been looking for, I haven't been able to pull it up, so I will get on it as soon as this meeting's over.
Would you allow me to end the reports portion on a little bit of a more positive note?
Okay, but I got to breathe first.
Okay, take a deep one. Y'all filled up with oxygen? Okay.
Yeah.
So two things that are just coming out of the city of Lancaster, folks may have already seen, is our new home buyers program. Was one of the equity initiatives. So I encourage folks to look on the city's website and the social media pages to take advantage of that. And also a How Money Works financial literacy program that's out of our new community center. So these are two new programs, and again, steps towards an equitable and innovative future for the city of Lancaster. So I would encourage people to go and look into those programs and take advantage of those.
Great work. Thank you. But, you know, now my wife's going to make me do that money thing because she has very low opinion of my ability to manage it. All right. Anybody else?
We do have a short video on the Senior Expo too, if you guys want to play it.
That's your thing?
Yeah, we want to see Raj.
Well, do you know what it's like going to a senior expo and the only guy there older than you is Ken?
You must have been communicating with Marvin because this has been going on for about 2 months. So it's okay. I got it. It's my turn.
Okay. Anything else? Y'all good? City clerk.
Yeah, I have updates. Yeah, I'll go. I'm sorry, I thought you did public comment, then we went. So yeah, a couple quick updates from City Manager's office. We are now taking applications for our Impact Youth program. So that's the program that gets youth involved where they can get involved in different, the events and the different things that we do. So that's a $1,000 scholarship that they can earn by completing the program. If they want to, go online right now and sign up for that program. Farmers Market, so this Thursday is the last Farmers Market of the season, so get out there and get your fresh produce. November 5th, we have our Fields of Draft event coming up, so enjoy a fun day of games and craft beers out there. There's tickets still available, and I heard through rumor mill that there may be some more VIP tickets released for sale soon, a very limited amount. So get them quick when they pop up and be on the lookout. We've also got Magical Boulevard Christmas coming up December 10th from 5 to 9, so put that on the calendar. And then LPAC has a host of fun concerts and different events coming up. So look online to see what's there and book your next trip to the LPAC. That's all the updates we have for now.
Thank you.
This is the time to address the City Council, Agency Authority on Non-Agendized Matters. Speaker cards may be found on the back table of the council chambers. If you have completed a card, please ensure that you have placed it in the basket. If you are joining telephonically or virtually, please press 9 at this time and eliminate any background noise, which we did not have anyone to join, but I had to make the announcement because we noticed it that way. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Please keep in mind, state law prohibits the City Council from acting on items not on the agenda, and your matter may be referred to the city manager. Thank you.
Okay, Jake Schwartz.
Hi, Council, Mayor.
Hi.
Thank you for having us today. I am a Lancaster resident and an organizer with Solar Rights Alliance, a California nonprofit devoted to advocating for everyone who has and everyone who wants rooftop solar. And so we've been on the streets of Lancaster talking to folks about solar for the last 2 months, finding a lot of receptive voices, a lot of people want to get on board, and the biggest barrier that we're identifying from conversations with homeowners is the permitting delays. Some people will find weeks or even months of permitting delays, which is, and to be fair, we were also working in Palmdale. You guys are far superior, as say all the installers and other advocacy groups. Lancaster is a leader on this issue.
Could you say that again?
Do I have to? Lancaster is absolutely a leader on this issue. But we're finding it's still one of the barriers for people to get solar. You know, complicated, can take long, planning, all of that. And so an issue that we are working on, a solution that we're working on, is the automation of the permitting process, which can make it more efficient and effective to get a permit. So there is a free software from the Department of Energy called Solar App Plus, developed by the National Renewable Energy Laboratory in conjunction with the nation's leading building safety organizations, that gives an automatic permit, which reduces the time and hassle for going solar. So far in California, 20 municipalities use this software. And importantly, the inspection rate, so after you already have your solar up, the chance that it gets approved by the inspector on the first time is the same for the 20 municipalities that use it and all that don't. So it is, you do not sacrifice safety at all, but it just makes it simpler for the city, for installers, and more importantly for homeowners to when they go solar. And so that's an issue that we are talking to folks about, very receptive. We've collected over 500 petitions in our 2 months here, 12 coalition sign-ons, and also 10 resident testimonials who said, I had to wait, whatever it is, weeks for solar, and it would have changed my life, changed my experience.
How long did they have to wait?
The longest we found was, well, so there's obviously many factors that go into that. The longest we found for just the permit itself was 5 weeks.
In
Most
Lancaster?
Yes, most are far, far less. And that,
Alexa, have you seen me? Have you seen me stand up on those stages internationally and tell the audience that it takes 45 minutes in Lancaster? Nobody came up to me and said I was lying to them, did they? Nobody told me that that was inaccurate.
if I may,
45 minutes. If we are unable to do that, I want to know it before the next time I tell a lie to 800 people in a room. All right?
sorry, sir.
5 weeks?
That's their testimonial that they've said. Most are far, far shorter. Most are just a couple weeks. But the thing that we're working on in this program is that it's instantaneous. It takes 1 minute to get a permit with this program, and no municipalities in LA County have it already. So Lancaster, who's already a leader on this issue, as everyone knows, could become the first city in LA County to adopt Solar App Plus, and once again, be a leader on this issue, make it as simple
Alexa,
and
how long
easy.
will it take us to review that program and see if it works?
If I may, sir, I talked to Warren Bennett this morning.
We are already on it. We have a staff, both Shannon and Warren are already looking at the software. It'll be an automated software that scans the plans. The permit is then issued instantaneously.
It'll be done.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Now, you're not that guy who calls me 6 times a day.
No.
Telling me about solar, are you?
That is what everyone tells me. I work for a nonprofit. I sell nothing. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to us, by the way. I thought we were already doing something like that. Trelise, why?
I would dispute the 5-week turnaround time. A lot of times when you do see something that takes longer than 48 hours to issue the permit, it's often on the applicant's side. There's something missing. We've asked for it. They're not getting it back to us. But if the applicant comes in with a complete application, solar permits are issued essentially over the counter.
Or what?
Over the counter, essentially over the counter.
So what would it take to audit it and see just how many of those that it's not happening on?
I think Warren, our building official, could run a report right now and get us that information.
I'm
And
sorry,
if
say that again?
Warren Bennett, our building official, he can run we have standard reports. He can run that and have that information to us tomorrow morning.
So I can have it tomorrow morning?
Mhm.
All right. So how long does it take in Palmdale?
Much longer.
All right, thank you, Jake.
I
Fran?
was going to say, that's our new commercial.
What?
He's our new commercial.
Okay.
Put him on Facebook.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't want to hit your controller, Tom. I'm going to say.
I think
There?
it's- yeah.
Okay.
Good evening again. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to say thank you. I said it this morning to AVTA, and I wanted to say it again to you, Mayor, and to our council here and the members in this chamber. I wanted to say, I wanted to thank them for providing the bus service that they provided for the seniors of Lancaster to be able to ride free to the fair, to the senior expo last week. Because without their services, there would be 40, 50, 60 seniors that would not be able to attend. And I wanted to thank them. There was a little bit of a problem because one of my friends, she's a paraplegic, and her wheelchair wouldn't fit in the doorway to get into the bus. But our director, Sydney Robles, called Dial-A-Ride, and Dial-A-Ride came to the rescue. And they provided a van for my friend to go to the senior expo. And she was very, very happy. And this was the first time she's ever been to an expo. So I myself want to say thank you. And I feel that including this body are not giving by the public enough thank yous for what you do for us. Not only for us seniors, but for the community. But I stand to speak more for seniors because that's what I'm advocating for, seniors and the disabled. But I just want to say thank you and God bless you.
Thank you. You know, Fran, if they were homeless, they could have got a train ticket. Just saying.
And Fran, it is important to do what you do, because without you, we wouldn't have the bus stops inside the fairgrounds. Sometimes we need to be made aware of those things, so we thank you for what you do.
Oh, well, thank you very much for mentioning that. God bless you. I'm stuck.
We can't decipher this name, so we will call the next person, and if you don't get called, you'll know
I'm stuck.
it's you, right?
Oh, okay.
Diane Meyer?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody on council. I've been a resident here in the Antelope Valley my whole life. I live on J8 and 10th Street West, and my issue is the traffic is so bad, I cannot even get out of my driveway. I feel like it is more of a problem. It's crazy because nobody lets me out of my driveway. The light doesn't change. I have called with, 3 years I've been dealing with the city. They said I fought for speed bumps. They're doing 65 miles. I live on a residential area. They put the speed bumps in. I was kind enough to wait and see how that worked out. And they're still speeding. They will go to the speed hump, and then they will go really super fast, almost 60 miles an hour, to get to J8 and 10th Street West. The noise, I've lived here my whole entire life. The last 3 years through the pandemic, it's gotten so bad on my street, I don't know what to do. I feel like I need to move off my street. This is a home I was raised in, and I literally live in my home with earplugs in my ears. It rattles, the noise, and the cars are so noisy that I hear everybody's music. My walls rattle, my windows rattle. I can't even watch my TV or read a book in my living room. It's that bad. I don't know who to talk to about it. Like I said, I talked to Matt. He said it'd be next year before they regulate the light. People will line up 15, 20 cars down my street at least 15 times a day. I have to wait in my driveway numerous times just to get out or to get in. I literally have to continue down my street and go around the corner and wait for the cars to go by so I can get in my driveway. I feel like it's a ghost at this point. I don't know who to talk to about it. I don't know what to do about it. But after the 3 years, I literally, my ears hurt because I wear earplugs all the time. It's day and night. They race down my street. I've gone and complained to the sheriff department, wrote a report. I've been here to the city and talked to Matt and Rosa numerous times on the phone. And I'm frustrated. I'm emotionally just getting despondent. I don't know what to do. If you can have some ideas, I don't see anybody in the police department writing any tickets. It's motorcycles with boom boxes. They're rattling my brain. I don't know. I want to live here. I thought I was going to retire in my home. Literally, I've been in this valley my whole life, went to school here, and J8, they've funneled the traffic down J8 to where there's too many people. I mean, I can continue to talk, but I guess my 3 minutes is up.
Are you on, actually, I waved off the clock.
Oh, okay.
Are you on J8 or 10th Street?
I am on the third house. I'm on J8 by 10th Street West. I'm the third house to 10th Street West. So I hear all the traffic. It's so bad now that they're racing. I hear all the traffic from 10th Street West. Everybody with their high-speed Mustangs, they all pulled them out of, once the pandemic was over with, they pulled them out of the car, but they're just racing day and night. I cannot be comfortable cooking a meal in my home. I grew up here and used to be able to sit in my front yard. I can't even do that anymore. So I have all kinds of other complaints, but this is my main one to keep my sanity. I don't know what to do. I really do not know what to do.
Are we still getting the IBM Watson information as to speeds at any given time?
We get the data that they have, yes.
So can we look into this and see if I mean, we're able to know with certainty how fast people are going at any given time on any given street.
Oh, okay.
J8 between 15th Street and 30th Street is the highest illegal speed that we have.
No, I was aware of that, but this is 10th Street. And
So this is between 10th and 15th?
I'm on 10th Street. I'm on J8 and 10th Street West. I
Yeah,
would
but
like to have.
West of 10th.
Yes, I am. And I would like to have some kind of speed put up there, maybe a camera. I mean, I feel like the justice is not there. The police department is not there to even
all right, we're
slow the people down.
Well, first we got to get the data. Let's find out exactly what's happening there. I mean, I think she's got a real point because that is all residential.
It is all residential.
It is likely to.
A child had gotten hit by a car just a couple months ago, right in that area.
I've handled some cases where children have died there, so I'm familiar with it.
Oh, yeah, we can go out and resurvey the area. I know we recently did it because we did warrant the speed humps that were recently installed with the pavement program. We
Yeah, I
also changed the
petitioned for
speed
that.
limit there. It got lowered to 25 because we were able to qualify it as a residential street because of the number of residential units that fronted. So, sounds like maybe we can work and get a better enforcement program and then go out and survey and get some other data to see what other mitigation measures we can go out and do.
It sounds like that they have dealt with it, they just need to enforce the changes that they made, right? I mean, what
I
good
think
does,
that-
what
I
good
think it
does
needs-
it do to lower a speed limit if people ignore it?
They're
That's the
still
way to-
driving crazy, yeah, they're
Sure.
still driving
Okay.
too fast. And 10th Street, I mean, there's a lot of progress in this valley. I understand that there is growth, but this is too much for one person to handle, and a lot of people might, on that street, they
Okay,
want to move, they want to move,
We will deal with it.
okay?
But
And
it seems
10th
to me the
Street?
way to deal with it is we need to get a traffic officer out there more frequently.
On 10th Street also, because I can hear all that traffic all the
10th Street
time.
Tenth Street is a different story. I mean.
Put a roundabout there, I just got to slow them down, they're doing 90 miles an hour.
I understand the problem, but the city grew, and that's a 6-lane street, right? Isn't 10th Street 6 lanes?
10th
Maybe
Street is now
4.
4. It got road divided to 4.
Yeah, it's 4 at that intersection.
All right. I mean, that is a difficult problem. I get that. I don't know how to fix that. We can't lower the speed limit on 10th Street when it's a major arterial.
Well, it's supposed to be 40 miles an hour on 10th Street. They're doing way over 60, they're racing. I mean, it may as well be Lancaster Speedway. That's how fast they are.
Let me deal with J8 first,
Okay.
okay? Can we do?
And who do I get back to
We're
about
on it.
my problem?
Okay.
Well, we're on it, and we'll get your number at the end of the meeting if you hang out, and we'll make contact.
Okay, and your name is?
Trolis Niebla.
Tro-
Trolis Niebla.
Troisi Emma? You'll have to write
Close.
down. Okay.
Very close.
Okay. Okay. And so then he's going to help me out, and that's the man I'm going to be talking to about the problem?
No.
No.
But he will give you who you talk to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll
I
take
mean-
another step. I don't know what to do. Like I said, I don't want to feel ghosted.
If you knew how much we paid him, you'd be shocked.
And your name is Diane?
Diane Mayer,
Okay,
yes.
Diane, we have all the information on your card that you filled out.
Yes,
Trolis
Trolise.
will get back with you.
Okay, thank you. All right, have a good evening, men.
Thanks, Diane. Alan,
You're fine. Yeah, you approved it, so I'm good. Thank you very much.
oh, you guys were going to gang up on him. Oh, I get it. Okay.
I want to say, like, commercial side.
Now, Alexa is never going to be very happy with you.
Lancaster is the fastest permits ever. It's just an extra, couple of days, 3 days, 4 days. Instant is just great. So we appreciate it. Thank you for approving.
I was just really surprised that there's somebody in this state that is doing a faster job with this than us. I thought it was us. We'll fix it. Okay? Good. I think that's it. All right? Anybody have any comments?
You did a good job tonight.
And you're going to get back to me with the reports on tomorrow? Good.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay. We don't have a closed session?
We do not.
Does that mean people quit suing us?
No.
No, okay. All right, the next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, November 8, 2022 at 5 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Carol, I'm coming home and I'm in a bad mood, so feed me.